Welcome back to the AV.com YouTube channel. My name's Tim from AV.com, and today I'm very pleased to be joined by Phil from the French acoustic engineering company, Devialet. Phil, it's really great to have you here.
No worries, Tim. Thanks for having me.
We have a selection of the Devialet products out in front of us, and we will be doing a deep dive into each of the range and giving a little bit of a story about them. But before we do that, can you just explain a little bit about Devialet and who you are and what you do for the company?
Thanks, Tim. I'm Phil Rose. I'm head of sales for Devialet in the UK. And Devialet is a French acoustical engineering company operating at the intersection between tech and luxury. And we've been on a mission since 2007 to elevate sound to its rightful place in people's lives by delivering uniquely meaningful experiences through our iconic products.
And they certainly are iconic, that's for sure. I mean, it's not every day you see a speaker that looks the way these ones do. The thing to know about Devialet is that they are first and foremost an engineering company. So from a technical perspective, the products are very, very impressive and the sound quality is phenomenal. But the thing that I really love about them is that they take just the same amount of care and time in the design of their products and how they're going to be used by the end user, which is a really refreshing approach to see. So why don't we start there with design? Why don't you explain a little bit about some of the core elements that go into designing a Devialet product?
Absolutely, Tim. Yeah. So in crafting Phantom's overall look, we focused on function and an obsessive attention to detail. Some would call that French savoir-faire or art de vivre, but we like to think of that as respecting both craftsmanship and pleasure equally. And if we look at the spherical design specifically, the goal was to create as natural a sound as possible with a wide distribution of sound throughout the listening space and really respect the modern way that people listen to music, which is rarely for a single person sitting in a dedicated listening space.
So how is it that a spherical shape aids the listening experience in what we might sort of assume as an open plan living space that you'd see in a modern home?
Good question. So the sound travels through space in spherical waves. And if we think of a common example of that, we can think of the 2D visualization of the shockwave created when you throw a stone into water. So the wave created on the surface of the water extends in concentric circles away from the point of impact.
In my experience of listening to these products, the first thing you do notice when you put a Phantom speaker into a room is just how well it fills the space with sound. So how did the Devialet engineers discover that the spherical shape was the right shape to make the speakers out of?
The spherical shape is the ideal shape for producing sound and ensuring its energy is diffused linearly in all directions. And it was Olson's work as early as the 1940s that showed that a sphere was the perfect shape for avoiding diffraction on the surface of a loudspeaker.
As previously stated, Devialet is first and foremost an acoustical engineering company. And am I right in saying that they have over 160 patented technologies?
That is true. Yeah, we've been pretty busy since 2007. I'm not sure we've got time today to cover all 160 though.
Maybe not. But for the people at home, it might be interesting to know what are some of the most important discoveries and engineering developments that you have made since 2007.
Sure. So our first technological revolution and what started our journey towards ultimate sound was ADH, or analog digital hybrid. That combines both analog amplification, or class A, and digital amplification, or class D. So you get the refinement of analog with the power of digital. The second technological revolution is with SAM, or speaker active matching, and that technology basically allows ADH to adapt its behavior based on the specific characteristics of the loudspeaker that it's connected to.
So is SAM effectively what people might already know as DSP?
That's correct, yeah. So SAM consists of a digital signal processing algorithm that occurs upstream of Phantom's DAC and amplification section. By taking into account the characteristics and the acoustic load of the speaker, it allows its membrane to be controlled in an incredibly precise manner. And that means that there's an exact alignment between the musical signal that was recorded and then the sound wave that reaches the listener's ears. And ADH and SAM combined is the only engine in the world that's capable of driving a Phantom speaker.
Right. And that would be a great place to start actually looking at some of the products. And the one that I would like to start with is Phantom, which of course is the most well-known speaker that Devialet have made. So what can you tell us about it?
I can tell you a huge amount of things about the Phantom speaker and the Phantom range, but in summary, so Phantom 1 here is a highly intuitive and connectable wireless speaker. In Phantom 1, we have every class-leading Devialet invention, which helps it to deliver more power, clarity, and precision than really any other wireless speaker out there.
It's amazing, you know. Essentially what Phantom is trying to do is completely replace HiFi separates in such a small footprint. You know, within this unit you have drivers, you have an amplifier, DACs, and streaming capability. How have Devialet managed to get all of that in such a small footprint?
It's a really good point, a good topic, and yeah, it's to give people that very legitimate and valid alternative to having those HiFi separates taking up space in the home. And you know, we go back to the point about the modern way of listening to music, which is rarely for somebody sitting you know, stationary in a dedicated space. So if we look at your question about the capabilities and how we can deliver so much power in such a small footprint. So with Phantom, the amplification and signal processing is embedded on a system on a chip that's 1 square centimeter in size. And it's that system on a chip and its performance which helps Phantom achieve barely measurable levels of saturation, distortion, and background noise.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed when I listened to it, which was most impressive of all, was just how clear everything was. You know, even when you're just listening to a single speaker, you forget that you're not listening to a stereo system. And that is seriously impressive.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, to be honest, that Phantom 1 sounds incredible on its own, but there is something better than a single Phantom 1, and that's 2 Phantom 1s paired in stereo.
So what are the models then within the Phantom 1 range?
So options in the Phantom 1 range, you have the Phantom 1 103 dB with 500 watt RMS and a frequency response of 16 to 25,000 Hertz. In terms of speaker architecture, you have an aluminium tweeter and aluminium mid-range driver at the front and 2 aluminium bass drivers at the side, delivering a maximum sound level of 103 dB SPL at 1 meter. You then have Phantom 1 108 dB with 1100 watt RMS with an increased frequency response of 14 to 27,000 kilohertz. In terms of speaker architecture this time, you have a grade 1 titanium tweeter and aluminium mid-range driver at the front. Again, the 2 aluminium bass drivers on the sides, delivering a maximum sound level of 108 dB SPL at 1 meter.
It's unbelievable that this speaker is able to get down to 14 Hertz. I mean, normally that you would assume that's only capable from large subwoofers with big drivers. So how have you managed that out of such a small speaker?
Yeah, it's true, all the way down to 14 Hertz or infrasound, as we like to refer to, because the human ear can only register frequencies above 20 Hertz. So by going down to 14, you're in frequencies that you can feel rather than hear. So it's possible. Your point about bass normally being associated with volume and huge amounts of air flow. With Phantom's architecture, the way that it's hermetically sealed with over a ton of pressure means that the sheer thrust force generated by the movement of these woofers allows us to go down to frequencies of 14 Hertz.
I mean, it's really interesting, going back to what we were saying before about how, or what you were saying before about how these products are designed to really inspire the musical experience in a modern home. I mean, you can effectively, with just this speaker alone, get rid of the need for subwoofers as well, which is astonishing.
Absolutely, yeah. It gives people that viable alternative. Maybe there's restrictions on space or look or aesthetic, but yeah, this is a home audio system in a incredibly small footprint.
So we were just talking off camera a moment ago about the performance of these speakers, and I was saying to Phil that when we got them out of the box in the studio this morning, the most immediately impressive thing that I found about them was the visual representation of sound that you get when these speakers are under load. It's really quite fascinating to see the drivers move with such thrust.
Yeah, it really is a visual representation of all of those technologies coming together and working together.
One key thing to know as well is that despite the amount of force that's going through these drivers and the amount of movement that you get, the chassis itself is almost totally inert. It does not move whatsoever. And Phil was telling me of a good little experiment you can do where you can put the speakers under a high volume level and leave your phone balanced on top of it, and your phone will not move. So to put that theory to the test,
don't try it at home.
Don't try it at home, but we do have a sample of music here that we're just going to visually represent this to you with. So here we go.
Oh, you make it look so easy. Your love came freely. See the chances.
That is so impressive. And I mean, it's testament to the craftsmanship and the engineering that goes into these products, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the team of engineers genuinely constantly trying to push the boundaries of what can be achieved through audio engineering.
So in addition to Phantom 1, there is also the inclusion of Phantom 2. So what can you tell us about this product?
So Phantom 2 is an ultra compact home sound system, still very capable of delivering high fidelity and deep sound. It still features every available class-leading Devialet technology, but this time in a form factor of under 3 litre capacity.
And what about model variants within the range then?
So similar to Phantom 1, Phantom 2 also has 2 different power ratings. First of all, you have Phantom 2 95 dB with 350 watt RMS and a frequency response of 18 to 21,000 hertz. Right. In terms of speaker architecture, you have this aluminium full range driver on the front, aluminium bass drivers on the side, delivering a maximum sound level of 95 dB SPL at 1 meter. You then have Phantom 2 98 dB, 400 watt RMS, same frequency response of 18 to 21,000 hertz. Same speaker architecture in terms of aluminium full range on the front, aluminium bass drivers on the side, delivering maximum sound level of 98 dB SPL at 1 meter.
That's really interesting. So why would somebody choose, say, Phantom 2 over Phantom 1?
I think it predominantly comes down to the environment that the end user is using the product. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it's a consideration of available space in the home, personal preference of size or finish. Perhaps it could be that you want a smaller speaker with less power in the kitchen and a larger speaker with more power in the lounge.
So how would somebody control one of these products?
So you've got various options when it comes to using Phantom. You demonstrated how easy it was earlier. I believe you were using Spotify Connect over Wi-Fi, which you will have set up through the Devialet app. Mm-hmm. You also have the option of Bluetooth, UPnP, the products are Roon ready. In terms of actually interacting with the product, with Phantom 1, you can do that through the app. Mm-hmm. You also have the option of the Devialet remote. Right. That comes in the box with Phantom 1. With Phantom 2, you have the addition of the capacitive touch controls on top, so you can just adjust Phantom with a single touch. But you can use the remote also as an add-on accessory with Phantom 2.
Right, and the app is fantastic. I mean, I had a chance to play around with it this morning, you know, configuring the products and using the EQ that's built in and everything. I mean, it's just so slick and robust. The layout of the GUI is fantastic. I mean, yeah, I was very, very impressed with using the app.
Good, thank you. I mean, it's another thing that we're very proud of and particularly very proud of the simplicity. And I think it's, you know, you look at Phantom on the surface, incredibly simple, behind the scenes, incredibly complex, and the app is, you know, similar in that sense.
Yeah. One thing I really liked about it, there's a bass reduce button on there, which I'm assuming is so that you can be more cautious towards your neighbors. You know, these speakers do get incredibly loud. But the thing that I really liked about it is it's not just a simple on-off button. It doesn't just turn the bass off and turn the bass on. When you click the button, it really gradually and softly rolls the bass off or back in for that matter. And it's It's so well engineered, you know, it's just amazing that you've gone to that. Even the length of just turning the bass on and off is such a satisfying experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another example of where we show that, I said earlier, that obsessive attention to detail,
Right.
that, you know, where we have an opportunity to make these small touches and differences, then we have the dedicated engineers who want to do that.
So the next product in the range that I want to speak about is Devialet Mania. Now this is the first portable speaker from the brand. What was the driving factor behind creating a portable speaker?
Essentially, we wanted to give our customers yet another option within the range. And if you think about a portable speaker, naturally your mind goes towards, okay, I can take this to the garden, I can travel with this, I can take this to meet friends in a social environment. But we also see the definition of a portable speaker of being able to move it within the home. So let's say to move it from the kitchen to the lounge for a seamless listening experience, and one in a very small form that takes up minimal space.
There are already so many options for portable speakers on the market, so why would somebody choose Mania?
Good question, Tim. Let me show you. So this is Devialet Mania. I absolutely love this product. With Devialet Mania, Devialet's iconic aesthetic has morphed into this portable speaker form. You have this handle for ease of movement. You have an IPX4 splash resistant rating for resilience, and Devialet's first built-in battery for up to 10 hours of wireless streaming. You still can see these visible push-push woofers and this luxurious woven skin, which really helps to protect the technologies held within.
So what was the process like of taking the signature Devialet sound down to such a small form factor?
So it took us 4 years to translate our signature sound purity into a portable form, and Devialet Mania is the culmination of that. So a 30 to 20,000 hertz range, and still a really detailed and immersive sound.
So of all the products in the range, this one was absolutely my favorite. And the reason for that is because of the included feature of 360-degree stereo sound. Can you just explain what that means?
Sure, yeah, another really great feature. So on top of Devialet Mania here, you have 4 full range drivers. Where you are sat, you have a left and a right channel. Where I'm sat, I have a left and a right. The listener at home has a left and a right. So no matter where you are positioned around the product or the orientation of Devialet Mania with the home, everyone can enjoy a stereo image.
Yeah, I was really impressed by this feature when I listened to it earlier on today. I mean, it's so obvious that no matter where you stand, you are always getting a dedicated left and right channel. It really is fantastic. And so that moves us on to the very last product in the range, which is Devialet Dione. Now, the first question I have for you, is it named after Celine?
Well, Celine Dion sounds pretty good to Dion, but no, this wasn't named after Celine Dion. I think Dion is the third moon of Saturn, possibly.
Okay.
So perhaps giving a bit of a nod to the aesthetic form that you see in front of you.
So now that we know where the name comes from, what can you tell us about Dione?
So Devialet Dione is Devialet's acoustic engineering applied to home cinema. So in this case, a high-end, all-in-one, Dolby Atmos enabled soundbar that will elevate all content on your television.
And how many channels is it?
So 8 channels in a 5.1.2 configuration. You have 17 autonomous high-end drivers, including 8 built-in SAM-powered subwoofers.
So there's no need for external subwoofers with this soundbar, is that right?
Correct. So this is a truly all-in-one soundbar with no need for any additional equipment or satellite speakers.
So I'm aware that there are a lot of new technologies that are included with this product. So can you just tell us a little bit about some of them?
Yeah, so unsurprisingly, Devialet Dione is also full of technologies, many to talk about. A few of those, first of all, we have space. Now space actively upscales any stereo encoded 2.0 signal into a 5.1.2 signal, creating this enveloping spatial sound. You have a custom room calibration software, which you run through the app, and that will make sure that the sound coming out of the soundbar can fit any space. And there's also AVL, or adaptive volume levels, which will adjust the sound levels in real time to make sure you can still enjoy the impact of sound effects but not miss any dialogue.
See, and this is really useful for a lot of people watching at home that are listening to big budget films just on a standard TV speaker. They will almost always have experienced having to grab the remote in between scenes to turn them up for the dialogue and down for the action. But what we're saying here with this soundbar is that it has technology built into it that will automatically do that for you.
Yep, absolutely. It's analysing the signal upstream and saying perhaps, okay, there's an action scene ahead, there's some dialogue straight after, then possibly back straight into action. So it's smoothing that listening experience for you, so you're not reaching for the remote and adjusting the volume yourself.
The most distinctive feature of the product is clearly the central orb. So can you just tell us about that?
So as you said, incredibly visually distinctive. It's a visible point of difference versus other soundbars on the market. Practically, orb is the center channel. So this is an active speaker with 2 passive radiators on the side. That also acts as a nice nod to the aesthetic form of Phantom, but with the ability to rotate orb 180 degrees clockwise, it can maintain its central position both visually and acoustically, whether it's on a TV stand or whether it's wall mounted.
So before we end the video here, I did just want to touch a little bit on some of the stories that have come out of the brand, because honestly, Devialet has some of the most amazing brand stories that I've ever heard. So the one that I really want to speak about is the limited edition opera versions of your speakers. Can you just explain to the people at home what that is about and give a little bit of a backstory on how it all came together?
Yeah, sure. So we're really proud of some of the partnerships and the collaborations that we've done over the years. Perhaps the most obvious one, or the most apparent one, is with the National Opera House of Paris, the Palais Garnier. So what we have actually here in front of us is a Phantom 108 dB Opera de Paris version. And we can tell that by these iconic moon gold gilded side plates that's done using the same process as the statues on top of the National Opera House of Paris.
And it goes further than just the aesthetics of a select range of speakers, because there is also a permanent installation of Phantom 1 speakers in the Opera House that are laid out like the instruments of an orchestra. So effectively, one speaker in the arrangement acts as the violin of the symphony, and so on and so on. Can you just explain a little bit about that as well?
So as part of this relationship with the Palais Garnier, we have a retail store inside the Palais Garnier where you can experience exactly what you said. You can sit in front of 18 Phantom 1, each one connected to a different channel, and get this orchestral experience, which is phenomenal. So if you're ever in Paris, head along to the Palais Garnier and look for the Devialet sign.
I'd absolutely love to. I will definitely check it out the next time I'm there. So that's just about everything. Thank you so much, Phil, for coming down today and showing us through the Devialet range of products. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely welcome, Tim, anytime.
Thank you to everyone at home who has watched this video. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more in the future, then please subscribe. And don't forget to like the video and turn on the bell for notifications. We will see you again next time.